Imagine waking up every single day with unstoppable focus, crushing your goals, and never letting excuses steal your power. Imagine a life where discipline isn't a struggle. It's a system, a force that drives you forward no matter what. Today, I'm going to reveal THE system to build unbreakable discipline, not theory, not motivation that fades in an hour, but a blueprint you can use immediately to take control of your mind, your actions, and your results. If you're ready to break free from procrastination, to own your time, and to live with relentless purpose, stay with me. Your transformation starts now. Think for a moment about what really drives people to achieve extraordinary things. It's not talent, it's not luck, and it's not endless hours of grinding without purpose. No, it's something far deeper. It's the why. The reason that wakes you up in the middle of the night and pushes you forward when every part of your body is screaming to quit. Discipline without a why is like trying to drive a car without fuel. You're moving, but you won't get far, and eventually you'll stop. But when your why is crystal clear, when it's so compelling that it lights a fire inside you that cannot be extinguished, discipline doesn't feel like a burden. It feels inevitable. Now, most people try to force discipline as if it's some kind of self-punishing act. They tell themselves, I must wake up at 5 a.m., I must work out every day, I must hit the goal, and yet, without a powerful reason, they fail, they hit the snooze button, skip the workout, procrastinate on the project. Why? Because their mind doesn't see the point. Their why isn't strong enough to carry them through discomfort. Your why has to be bigger than any temporary feeling. It has to be so compelling that even your fear, your doubt, and your excuses pale in comparison. Your why can take many forms. Maybe it's the vision of a life of freedom and financial security. Maybe it's the legacy you want to leave for your children, the story you want to tell your loved ones, the example you want to set. Maybe it's the sense of self, respect, and pride that comes from knowing you never quit on yourself. Whatever it is, it must resonate so deeply that it touches your heart and ignites your soul. When your why is big enough, discipline becomes a natural extension of who you are. It's not something you force, it's something you live. Here's the secret most people overlook: your why must be personal. It can't be what others tell you is important. It can't be about impressing someone else or chasing a standard that isn't yours. It has to come from your life, your experiences, your vision, your dreams. It has to be something that, when you think about it, creates an emotional charge inside you, a charge that gets your blood flowing, that makes you feel alive, that makes quitting unthinkable. When your why carries that kind of emotional weight, every action you take in alignment with it becomes easier. Every challenge becomes a stepping stone, and every moment of resistance becomes an opportunity to grow stronger. And here's the truth: life is going to throw obstacles at you. You're going to feel tired, you're going to feel scared, you're going to want to give up. But when you anchor yourself to a powerful why, those obstacles shrink. They no longer define you, they test you. And tests are exactly what you need to build unbreakable discipline. Because discipline isn't about doing what's easy, it's about doing what's necessary when it's hard. And the only thing that keeps you going through the hard is a reason that resonates so deeply it overrides every excuse. Let me tell you something else most people get wrong. They think they need motivation every single day. Motivation is fleeting, it comes and goes. But your why is constant. It's the anchor that keeps you grounded when everything else is shaking. It's the force that carries you through mornings when your body says no, evenings when your energy is gone, and moments when the world doubts you. With a why that's strong enough, discipline stops being about self-control and starts being about alignment, aligning every decision, every habit, every action with the vision you see for your life. So I want you to take a moment and feel it. Feel the weight of your own why. What is it that, if you don't achieve it, would leave you with regret? What is it that, if you do achieve it, will make every sacrifice worth it? Your discipline will grow in direct proportion to the power of that why. The stronger it is, the less effort it takes to take the right action again and again. And here's the best part: when your why is this powerful, you no longer have to chase discipline. Discipline comes to you, it flows naturally from the clarity and intensity of your purpose. Every action you take from this moment on can be anchored to that why. Every habit, every decision, every challenge can be filtered through it. And when you do that consistently, you're not just building discipline, you're building a life of unstoppable momentum, a life where quitting is never an option and where your potential isn't just reached, it's exceeded. And that is why we start here, because without a why that electrifies you, discipline is just a word. But with it, discipline becomes a force that transforms every aspect of your life. Think about this: no matter how powerful your mindset is, no matter how strong your willpower feels in the moment, if your environment is working against you, eventually it will win. Most people underestimate just how much their surroundings shape their behavior. They think discipline is all about willpower, but willpower is a muscle, it gets tired. Your environment, on the other hand, either drains that muscle or strengthens it every single day without you even realizing it. If you want unbreakable discipline, you've got to design your environment to work for you, not against you. Let me give it to you straight. Discipline isn't about trying harder. It's about setting yourself up so that trying isn't necessary. The truth is, you are a product of what surrounds you. You eat what's in your kitchen. You think in the space you spend your time in. You perform at the level your environment allows. If your phone's buzzing every 5 seconds, if your workspace is cluttered, if you're surrounded by people who don't share your standards, Don't be surprised when your energy and focus fade. You can't build unbreakable discipline in a space built for distraction. So the first thing you do is audit your environment. Be ruthless about it. Look around and ask yourself, does this space inspire me or does it pull me down? Does it make me want to grow or does it make me want to escape? You can't rise in an environment that constantly reminds you of who you used to be. You have to create one that reflects who you're becoming. Remove the noise, the clutter, the temptation. Make your environment a daily reminder of your standards, your values, your vision. Now here's what's powerful. Small environmental shifts can completely transform your consistency. You want to wake up earlier, put your phone across the room, not next to your bed. You want to eat better. Don't rely on willpower. Empty the junk out of your pantry and stock it with real fuel. You want to read more. Put a book where you usually grab your phone. You want to work out. Lay your clothes out the night before so the decision is already made. Discipline becomes easy when your environment is designed to support it. See, most people rely on motivation to act, but motivation is a spark. It fades fast. A well-designed environment, though, is a system that sustains that spark long after the emotion fades. You don't need to wake up every morning and feel like it when your environment is already nudging you toward the right action. It's not about being perfect. It's about removing friction from what matters and adding friction to what doesn't. Think about it like this. If every time you sit at your desk, your mind associates that space with focus and productivity, you've trained your brain to switch gears automatically. If every time you walk into your kitchen, you're surrounded by nourishing food, you've made the healthy choice effortless. And if every person in your circle pushes you to rise higher, to think bigger, to keep your promises, you've built an environment that breeds discipline. But it's not just the physical space. It's also the emotional and social environment. Who are you spending time with? Because proximity is power. You cannot stay disciplined if everyone around you normalizes laziness, excuses, and self-pity. You need people who hold you accountable, who challenge you, who remind you of who you said you would become when you forget. Sometimes that means outgrowing circles that keep you small. And that's not betrayal, that's evolution. Your environment should whisper your goals back to you even when you forget them. When you walk into your space, it should feel like a reflection of your future, not your past. Create visual reminders, quotes, goals, photos, whatever fuels you, and place them where you see them daily. Make your environment your coach, your reminder, your mirror. Every time you enter it, you're reminded of your mission. That's how discipline becomes natural. It's no longer something you force. It's something your surroundings reinforce. And when you start living like this, something amazing happens. You begin to feel in control again. You realize you're not at the mercy of distractions. You designed your world to support your purpose. You stop relying on willpower to fight temptation, and instead you make it hard to fail. You create systems, triggers, and cues that make success automatic. That's the real secret. Discipline is not about self-denial, it's about self-alignment. The moment you take control of your environment, you take control of your destiny. Because every disciplined person you admire, every consistent achiever, every unstoppable performer, they didn't just build habits, they built systems. Systems that supported the person they decided to become. And it all starts right here with the world you create around you. Make your environment louder than your excuses. Everything you do, every habit you repeat, every pattern you live by, it all follows a loop. Most people think discipline is about forcing themselves to act differently, but the truth is discipline is about understanding how behavior actually works. Once you understand the pattern, you can take control of it. You can rewire it. You can replace it. Every habit, good or bad, follows the same simple formula. There's a trigger, there's an action, and there's a reward. If you can master that loop, you can build any habit you want, and you can destroy any habit that's been holding you back. Let's start with the trigger, the cue that kicks off your behavior. It could be something obvious like your alarm going off, a notification pinging on your phone, the smell of coffee in the morning. It could be something subtle, a feeling of boredom, a flash of anxiety, even an environment that reminds you of a certain behavior. Triggers are everywhere, and here's the key. Most of your life runs on autopilot because your brain is wired to respond to those triggers the same way over and over again. You don't even think about it. You reach for your phone, you open social media, you procrastinate, you eat when you're stressed. It's not a lack of discipline. It's a system that's been programmed into you. Now, here's the power. You can rewrite that system. You can't always eliminate triggers, but you can change what they lead to. You can redirect the energy. When the same trigger shows up, instead of letting it drag you down a familiar path, you attach a new action to it. You interrupt the old loop and replace it with something that serves you. For example, if you feel stressed and your pattern is to reach for junk food, you stop and take 10 deep breaths instead, or you drop to the floor and do 10 push-ups, or you write down one thing you're grateful for. It doesn't matter what it is. The point is to rewire the trigger so it creates momentum, not regression. Then comes the action, the behavior itself. This is the part most people focus on. They try to change the action without addressing the trigger or the reward, which is why their discipline never lasts. Real change happens when all three work together. The action has to be something that moves you closer to who you want to be. And it has to be simple enough to do even when you don't feel like it. Because once you do it consistently, your brain starts to link that behavior to the trigger automatically. It becomes effortless. That's the power of repetition. You train your mind to respond with discipline instead of distraction. And finally, the reward. The brain always seeks one thing, pleasure. That's why bad habits are so sticky. They give you instant gratification. The problem is that short-term hit of comfort comes at the cost of long-term pain. The key to building unbreakable discipline is flipping that pattern, teaching your brain to love the long-term rewards more than the short-term ones, and you can do it. When you follow through on a commitment, take a second to feel it. Celebrate it. Recognize the pride, the progress, the control you just created. Anchor that feeling so your brain associates discipline with pleasure, not pain. This is how you build momentum. Discipline isn't built in a day, it's built in loops. Every time you complete that loop, trigger, action, reward, you're reinforcing your identity as someone who follows through. And the more loops you complete, the stronger that identity becomes. Eventually, it's no longer a question of willpower. It's just who you are. You don't need to convince yourself to be disciplined. You simply act in alignment with your programming. Now, here's the beauty of it. The same system that once worked against you starts working for you. The same triggers that used to lead you to procrastinate can become the very signals that drive you into action. The same emotions that once led to avoidance can become cues for growth. You're not fighting your mind anymore, you're leading it. That's the difference between struggling with discipline and owning it. So take a moment to reflect. What are the loops running your life right now? What are the triggers that keep leading you back to the same unproductive patterns? Once you identify them, you've taken the first step toward freedom. You can't change what you're not aware of. But once you see the pattern, you own the power to redesign it. You can build any habit, any behavior, any level of discipline you want if you master this loop. It's not about being superhuman, it's about being strategic. It's about understanding that your brain is a machine built for repetition. Feed it the right instructions, and it will serve you automatically. That's the real power behind unbreakable discipline. It's not forced, it's designed. Train your mind to crave what builds you. Here's what most people get wrong about discipline. They think it's built in giant leaps, massive efforts, or monumental moments of motivation. They believe one huge burst of effort will change everything, but it doesn't work like that. Discipline isn't about doing everything at once. It's about doing something every day. It's built in small, consistent acts that compound over time. The secret is micro commitments, tiny promises you make to yourself and actually keep. Because the truth is, the fastest way to build confidence and unshakable discipline is not through massive action. It's through consistent follow. Think about it. Every time you make a small commitment and follow through, you cast a vote for the identity of someone who's disciplined, someone who keeps their word, someone who doesn't negotiate with weakness. It doesn't matter how small that commitment is. Maybe it's waking up 10 minutes earlier. Maybe it's reading 5 pages of a book. Maybe it's doing 1 extra rep at the gym or writing for 5 minutes when you don't feel like it. The size of the act doesn't matter. The repetition does, because every small win rewires your brain to trust you. Every micro commitment kept tells your subconscious, when I say I'll do something, I mean it. That's where real strength comes from, trusting yourself. People lose discipline, not because they lack drive, but because they keep breaking promises to themselves. They aim too big, too fast, and when they fall short, they reinforce the story that says, I can't stick to anything. But when you start small, so small you can't fail, you rebuild that trust from the ground up. You rebuild integrity with yourself, 1 micro commitment at a time. And once you have that trust, discipline becomes easy, even automatic. The reason this works is because success loves momentum. Once you start winning, even in small ways, your mind begins to crave that feeling of progress. It's addictive. You start seeing yourself differently. You're no longer the person who gives up when it's hard. You're the person who keeps going, who shows up no matter what. And the more you stack those moments, the stronger your identity becomes. Before long, the actions that once felt like effort now feel natural. That's the magic of micro commitments. They create momentum that pulls you forward instead of pushing against resistance. Let's be real. Massive change can be intimidating. When the goal feels too big, your mind automatically searches for an exit. It says, it's too hard, it's too far, it'll take too long. But when you shrink the task down to something so small, it's impossible to say no, you remove the resistance. You make action easy, and once you start, momentum takes over. You don't need to run 10 miles today, just put on your shoes and walk around the block. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet, just make one better choice at your next meal. Because once you start moving, something shifts. Action breeds clarity, clarity breeds confidence, and confidence fuels more action. That's how discipline is born, through motion, not motivation. The beauty of this system is that it doesn't rely on perfection. You don't have to get everything right. You just have to keep showing up. There will be days when you slip, when your energy is low, when the old habits try to creep back in. That's okay. The goal isn't to be flawless. It's to stay in the game. The moment you recommit, you win. The moment you take 1 step forward, no matter how small, you're back in control. You're proving to yourself that no setback defines you. That's what separates the discipline from the defeated, the ability to keep moving when it's inconvenient, to do something instead of nothing. Here's what's powerful: small wins change how you see time. When you focus on micro commitments, you stop being overwhelmed by how far you have to go and start being proud of how far you've come. You realize that progress is never about speed. It's about direction. Every little action, every micro commitment is a seed planted in the soil of your future success. You water it daily, and eventually it grows into something extraordinary. That's how champions are built, not through bursts of effort, but through daily consistency. And this isn't just about goals, it's about identity. Every micro commitment you keep rewrites the story of who you are. You stop saying, I wish I were more disciplined, and start saying, I am disciplined. You stop waiting for the right time, the perfect plan, the ideal circumstance, and you start realizing you are the plan. You are the system, you are the foundation of your results. Discipline becomes less about effort and more about alignment. Aligning your actions with your standards with your purpose, and your purpose with your life. So stop chasing massive breakthroughs. Start collecting small victories. Those are the bricks that build unbreakable discipline. One commitment, one action, one moment at a time. Small steps, done daily, create unstoppable momentum. Everything starts in the mind. Every action you take, every habit you build, every bit of discipline you develop, it all begins with what you believe about yourself and the meaning you attach to what you're doing. If your mind isn't aligned, no system, no strategy, no routine will ever last. You can have the best plan in the world, but if your mindset is weak, the first challenge will break you. Discipline isn't just a physical practice. It's a mental game. You've got to master your mind before you can master your behavior. Most people lose the battle long before they ever take action. They lose it in their thoughts. They let doubt, fear, and old conditioning dictate their decisions. They say things like, I'll never be consistent. I always mess up. I just don't have the willpower. And those words become commands to the subconscious mind. Your mind listens to everything you say about yourself. Every belief you repeat becomes a blueprint your brain follows. If you keep telling yourself you lack discipline, your brain will prove you right. But when you start speaking to yourself like someone who follows through, who takes action, who keeps their word, everything changes. The first shift is identity. You can't build unbreakable discipline if you keep identifying as the person who quits. Discipline isn't something you do, it's something you are. It's a standard you live by, not a rule you occasionally follow. When you start thinking like someone disciplined, your behavior naturally catches up. That's why mindset matters more than motivation. Motivation fades, but identity endures. You must decide deep inside that this is who you are now, a person who does what's necessary, not what's convenient, and that decision requires mastering your emotional state. Because let's be honest, life isn't going to make it easy for you. There will be days when you're tired, discouraged, and frustrated, days when your emotions will try to talk you out of your goals. The difference between those who stay disciplined and those who don't isn't that one group never feels those emotions. It's that they don't let the emotions lead. They feel fear, but still take action. They feel doubt, but still move forward. They don't wait to feel ready. They act their way into readiness. Your mind can either be your greatest weapon or your biggest enemy. And the only difference between the two is control. You've got to train your mind the same way you train a muscle, through repetition awareness. Start paying attention to your inner dialogue. When you catch yourself spiraling into negativity or excuses, stop it immediately and replace it with something empowering. For example, instead of saying, I can't do this, say, I'm learning how to do this. Instead of, I don't feel like it, say, I do it whether I feel like it or not. These aren't just words, they're commands that reshape your neural pathways over time. Visualization is another powerful tool. Every day, see yourself following through. Feel the emotion of success before it happens. Your brain doesn't know the difference between something vividly imagined and something real. It responds to both the same way. So when you rehearse success in your mind, you make it familiar. You prime your nervous system to expect it. And when your mind expects success, your body and behavior follow. Reflection is equally vital. At the end of each day, look back, not to judge yourself, but to learn. Ask, where did I show up today? Where did I hesitate? What can I improve tomorrow? When you approach discipline as a process of growth instead of punishment, you take the pressure off and keep the progress alive. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress with awareness. Another key piece of mastering your mindset is breaking the habit of emotional reactivity. When something goes wrong, most people react. They get frustrated, distracted, or discouraged. But discipline is about response, not reaction. A disciplined mind pauses before it acts. It chooses the response that aligns with the bigger vision, not the temporary emotion. That's real strength, not suppressing emotion, but mastering it. You don't have to be calm all the time, but you do have to stay in control. You have to remember your thoughts are not facts, they're options. Every day you get to choose which ones to believe. The disciplined mind doesn't believe everything it thinks. It filters, questions, and directs its focus intentionally. Because where focus goes, energy flows. Focus on excuses and you'll strengthen them. Focus on progress and you'll multiply it. When your mindset becomes stronger than your emotions, when your identity is rooted in consistency, and when your self-talk supports your vision, nothing can shake you. The world can throw chaos, distraction, and pressure your way, but you'll stay centered because your mind has been trained for it. You'll no longer depend on external motivation. You'll move from an internal fire that doesn't burn out. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to train your mind to act in spite of fear. Discipline doesn't grow in isolation. You can have the strongest vision, the best plan, the clearest purpose. But if you try to build it all alone, eventually your environment, your emotions, and your excuses will catch up. No one sustains greatness by themselves. You need accountability. You need reflection. You need feedback that challenges you, not comforts you. The people who become unstoppable aren't the ones who try to carry everything alone. They're the ones who build systems of accountability that keep them sharp when their motivation fades. Accountability is the mirror that never lies. It's what keeps you honest when your mind starts negotiating with comfort. When you're on your own, it's easy to justify skipping the gym, sleeping in, or putting off the work. You tell yourself, I'll start again tomorrow. But when you're accountable, when you've got someone or something holding you to a higher standard, tomorrow stops being an excuse. You show up because you said you would, not because you feel like it. And that's the essence of discipline, doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. There are two kinds of accountability, external and internal, and both are powerful. External accountability is when you bring others into your journey. It might be a mentor, a coach, a training partner, a friend, or even an online community, someone who knows your goals, your standards, and your deadlines, and isn't afraid to call you out when you drift. Because let's face it, we're all masters at lying to ourselves. We justify, we rationalize, we tell stories. But when someone else is watching, when someone else expects you to rise, that awareness ignites a higher level of performance. Internal accountability, though, that's the real test. That's when you become your own coach. When you stop needing external pressure because you've built your own feedback loop. You track your progress, you measure your effort, and you tell yourself the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. You set clear standards and you hold yourself to them relentlessly. Because discipline doesn't mean perfection. It means refusing to settle for less than your potential. Internal accountability is the moment you stop making excuses and start making adjustments. And feedback is your greatest teacher. Most people fear it because they attach it to judgment. They think feedback means failure. But feedback is power. It's clarity. It's a compass showing you exactly where you are versus where you want to be. The only way to grow is to be willing to see the gap. The undisciplined avoid feedback because it exposes their inconsistencies. The disciplined seek it out because it helps them improve faster. Every bit of feedback, whether it's from yourself or someone else, is an opportunity to refine your system, sharpen your habits, and elevate your standards. You've got to be brutally honest with yourself. If you say you want something, measure your actions against that desire. Don't just look at what you intend to do. Look at what you actually do. If your actions don't match your ambitions, something needs to change. Maybe it's your system, maybe it's your focus, or maybe it's your standards. But you'll never know until you start tracking it, because what gets measured gets improved. The act of tracking your progress keeps you aware, and awareness creates change. And don't underestimate the power of the people around you. The right environment of accountability will lift you higher than motivation ever could. Surround yourself with people who don't let you settle, people who challenge your excuses, people who live at the standard you aspire to. You rise to the level of the standards around you. If you're the most disciplined person in your circle, it's time to find a new circle. You can't stay sharp in a room that doesn't challenge you. Proximity to greatness fuels discipline. It reminds you of what's possible and keeps your standards alive. There's something else accountability does. It builds integrity. Every time you keep your word to yourself or someone else, you strengthen your character. You start trusting yourself more deeply. You start realizing that your word means something. And when you live like that, when your promises aren't negotiable, you start showing up differently in every area of life. You stop saying someday and you start saying now. You see, discipline without accountability eventually fades. But discipline with accountability compounds. When you've got systems, feedback, and people holding you to your best, you don't just maintain consistency, you multiply it. You create a rhythm of progress that keeps pushing you forward even when life gets messy, even when the excitement fades, even when nobody's watching. And that's the secret. True discipline isn't about control, it's about connection. Connection to your word, connection to your growth, connection to something bigger than comfort. You keep rising because you're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it for the standard you've chosen to live by. You've built an ecosystem that supports greatness, and once that's in place, nothing can pull you back down. Discipline thrives where accountability lives.